Halloween's upon us, which means it's time to get a little spooky. Here are my top 5 favorite horror-themed video games. Starting at number 5, we have Katherine. This is the PS3 version you're seeing right now. A new version called Katherine Full Body was just recently released on Xbox One and PS4. Basically, the premise is you play as Vincent, a 30-year-old who's trying to decide what to do or the next step of his life, be that marry his longtime girlfriend Catherine with a K, or be seduced by Catherine with a C, and live out his life just enjoying it and not being tied down by the responsibilities of being a married adult, becoming a father, and so on. I like the fact that the puzzles are very challenging. They always change every time you play the game. You get to interact with people in the Stray Sheep, a bar that Vincent hangs around. And as you enjoy your time there, drinking the various wines or cocktails or beers, they give you little tidbits and history on it, which I think is really cool. The whole horror aspect comes in the fact that if you fail these puzzles and you die, then you die in real life. And there's several mysteries of other mysterious deaths of 30-year-olds who are winding up dead the next morning, and you kind of unravel this mystery and who's causing it. But it's a fun puzzler game, to the point where I've seen tournaments of people who make this kind of a competition. The game itself actually has a Babel Tower where you go through random blocked games to try to get the highest score in the fastest time. But if you're into puzzlers and you like this, especially if you like the Persona series, as this is a spin-off of that, it's definitely one that I would recommend checking out. At number 4, we have the classic Ghostbusters, the video game. This is essentially Ghostbusters 3, written by Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd. Sadly, this is the last I've ever really heard Harold Ramis in a newer video game or movie. This is essentially Ghostbusters 3, that you revisit a lot of the places from the first two movies. There's a lot of references to those as well. You play as a nameless cadet who's hired by the Ghostbusters to track down on their latest adventures. Again, you get to visit some of the famous little locations, and it's just all around fun to be able to experience all what it is to throw in a proton pack, go after the ghosts, catch them, and fool around the PK meter, and just once again visit the whole environment. This is just full of nostalgia. If you enjoyed the games for what they are, or the movies, I should say, for what they are, then this is definitely one to check out. A remastered version was recently released for the Xbox One and PS4. Definitely recommend checking that out. Or if you prefer, if you can find it cheaper, get the PS3 or the Xbox 360 version. Either one as well. What you're seeing right now is the Xbox 360 version. And honestly, I can't really tell a difference. The visuals are still amazing, the locations are pretty cool, and the music is very nostalgic. So yeah, check out Ghostbusters.
Of the dead.
I get excited every time I hear that title screen. House of the Dead series, definitely one of the best light gun games around. Unfortunately, the only way to experience this fully is if you have a CRT monitor still. I can play this on the Dreamcast, the original Xbox, or if you have the DreamEye for the PlayStation 3. That's really where I play a lot of these. The Wii also had the original House of the Dead 2 and 3 as well. The controls of that is kind of interesting. But I still prefer the PlayStation 3 version. Of course, Sega did release the new Scarlet Dawn, which is still exclusive to arcades, but I'm hoping they bring that to consoles, whether that be the end of the PlayStation 4 in VR or whatever the PlayStation 5 is capable of doing. But if you have an old CRT laying around, definitely check this game out, or even if you see it at the arcades. It's a real fun time, definitely a quarter muncher. The voice acting is so horrible that it's very memorable to a lot of people. So yeah, definitely check out House of the Dead. Number 2 is Illbleed on the Sega Dreamcast. This is still an exclusive to the Dreamcast. Sadly, the company that developed this and the producer is no longer around, so I doubt we'll ever see this as an HD remaster. But this game is crazy. Definitely a B-horror type aspect to the game. I love watching people play this, as every time you play it, it is different. Where the traps are at and everything are never the same, or they're in different spots. Basically, the whole premise is you get invited and you get tickets with your friends to this carnival of horrors. Of course, as they arrive, things happen, your friends disappear, and it's up to you to rescue them. So you go through different themes, everything has a different story that you find out as you collect money and rescue your friends. It's a really good, cool, interesting game. I'll put it at that. It is a little bit on the expensive side these days, but I really feel it's well worth it. I was recently watching my friend Corey from Megavisions actually play this game, and listening to him jump at every time and freaking out about it, it generally scared him a couple times. It's definitely high on the gore and high on the humor aspect of this survival series. So yeah, Ill Bleed, number 2. Finally, number 1 is Darkstalkers, the series. One of my favorite fighting games, and probably one of my favorite games of all time. This fighting game was originally supposed to be about the Universal Studios monsters, so you have your choice of the mummy, werewolf, vampire, etc. Very fast paced, came out a little bit before Street Fighter Alpha series. Kind of was paved the way for what Street Fighter is today, honestly. Really cool, different ways to play the game, especially if you can pick up the new Darkstalkers Resurrection, which was only available on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. The tutorial in it really gets you into the game. It teaches you how to play it and all the different gimmicks that are in the game. It's really welcoming for beginners. Definitely one that I would check out, even if you feel you're not into fighting games. It's definitely worth checking out. This is also available on the original PlayStation, the PSP, and the Dreamcast. I mean, I liked it so much to the point where I even got the original arcade game. And I hope to someday find the other two in the original arcade form to add to my collection. But until then, I play this any other way that I can possibly find, and it's definitely one that I would recommend to anybody who just wants to get into fighting games or who wants to check out the art in this or just enjoys horror games in general. So that's my top 5 horror-themed games of all time. Let me know what yours are below. And if you enjoyed this video, click that like button. I'd really appreciate it. And as always, I thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.